how do we just be cheerleaders for people?
Is that a job? Can we create that?
It really is like the thing that we wish we all would have had.
We basically teach life and personal development skills to teen and tween girls in the most fun way.
Is it a therapy camp? No, but we do have good conversations.
If you would have told me 6 years ago that I'd be working with children,
I would have been like, yeah, do you know me?
Being in a community and putting yourself in rooms that make you feel uncomfortable, that's really the secret.
we probably cried a ton of tears. We still do that.
The same themes kept popping up. Lack of confidence, friendship drama, girls feeling super alone. I'm so passionate about this. I think that this is something that every single girl deserves to have.
That is life-changing.
Anyone who in the Powerhouse Women community thinks, gosh, I just wish something like this existed for my teen or tween girl, this is the episode for you. I am sitting down with two of my closest friends, Jill and Mary, founders of Girls Mentorship. And yes, we're talking about how their work to empower girls to find confidence, to navigate friendship, to understand how to navigate life, let's be honest. And the early beginnings of this business that, I mean, quite literally started in these conversations that we have in our friendship and just these big dreams that we allow ourselves to lean into. And it's been so cool to look back on the journey, how we've all just really leaned into doing it imperfectly and allowing ourselves to be messy in the beginning and allowed ourselves to keep dreaming bigger and investing bigger in the dreams that we know we're here, put on this planet to pursue. So this conversation is kind of like a milestone. It's really important to me because these are people who've been a part of Powerhouse Women since before it existed. And now we kind of lovingly refer to their organization, Girls Mentorship, as like the little sister of Powerhouse. And we're going to dig into that story and so much that every single woman on a journey of pursuing more for themselves can take away. Welcome officially to Powerhouse Women. Not that you ever needed a welcome because you were here before it originated.
You know, that is true, but it feels really good to be here in our matching denim outfits.
Hold on. You guys, this might be worth like flipping over to YouTube if you're listening to the audio experience. This is how you know you're close friends. We showed up in coordinating denim on denim. Outfits.
Yeah, I'm the only one really not in a Canadian tuxedo, but the pants really, I mean, they're from the 90s.
We could be a girl group.
We could
girl
be
band.
An early 2000s girl group.
100%.
And maybe, who knows, tonight we might just, come up with a couple 8 counts.
5, 6, 7, 8. I'm down for that.
So for anyone who does not know, the two angelic beings sitting to my left, Jill Petersen, Mary Frances of Girls Mentorship. But our friendship, our relationship dates back far beyond Powerhouse Women, far beyond Girls Mentorship. And this is like such a special opportunity, yes, to talk about like the journey and everything we're learning through entrepreneurship, but I think also to celebrate friendship, like to celebrate the people who really grow with you. And we've grown in different ways, but like to find ourselves, we now found ourselves in this season where we all kind of like ended up moving into the same neighborhood. Like we're actual neighbors now. It's
fun.
a whole thing. We're probably going to start potlucks anytime now.
Oh, yeah.
That hasn't even been on the table. I love that.
It hasn't, but we'll get to that.
Okay,
We'll definitely get to that
I'm
later.
in.
There needs to be a group text dedicated to that. But, so you are the founders of Girls Mentorship, which in so many ways is kind of like the little sister to Powerhouse Women.
It is very cool.
We reference that a lot. We're like, what did Lindsay do? Let's just do that.
But like on that level, but also like teaching the skills that we still talk about, that we love to learn about, things that build our confidence, that help us navigate friendship and growth. You're teaching this to teen and tween girls. And I think it's really is like the thing that we wish we all would have had as teenagers.
It is.
So for anyone listening who's not familiar with Girls Mentorship, Mary, how do you describe the work that you do and the mission behind it?
I
describe it in a way that I became the mentor I needed, right? Because you just referenced it. We all wish we had somebody, whether it was that babysitter, that coach, that reached their hand back and said, here's the way you do it. Did you fall down? Awesome. You don't have to stay down for too long. Are you having a friendship debacle? That's okay. Maybe those girls aren't for you. Mm-hmm. It was like the little fairy godmother that Jill and I got to become by creating this company. So we basically teach life and personal development skills to teen and tween girls in the most fun way. If you can tell by our denim on denim, like we don't do stuffy. I think once we got into this industry, AKA, it was very clear that it needed some sort of color and fun. It feels very antiquated and outdated. There's a lot of older people in the youth space, and that's not a knock on any of those people, but it was clear that teens needed someone to resonate with that was a little closer to their age. I am 37, Jill is 38, but realistically, we're still teenagers at heart, and it shows in the work that we get to do. And it's just so fun because I was that girl. I was every girl that walks through our summer camp, I can resonate with, and I can see something in her that was in me, which makes the work that much more meaningful because it's literally like I'm talking to a little Jill or a little Mary.
And, our story, how we all met, is a kind of a cool component to this too, because Jill, you at the time were managing Lululemon. I was just publishing my book.
Which no one knew.
No, well, yeah, because I didn't tell anybody.
Right.
Mary was a gym owner at the time, was working part-time at Lululemon. And I love to share this story because people will often ask about the early days of Powerhouse. And the further I go, the harder it is to remember these little moments. But I just had this flashback to the book was about to be released. I had started this little Facebook group, which is now the Powerhouse Women Community, but I think it was like the Powerhouse Posse or something.
Yeah, it was.
Very cool like that. Ask me for marketing tips later. And I challenged myself to go live and just share kind of like a little message from the heart. I didn't have a podcast. I wasn't used to kind of putting my thoughts out there. And I remember going live in this group, and I ended the live and I was like, that was the worst thing I've ever done. I am so embarrassed. How cringe. Everything in me wanted to delete it. This was like early days of just saying like, hey, I think it was like about like finding your purpose. And I was like, so cringe. I want to vomit. And I was like, no, I'm going to challenge myself to leave it up. It wasn't even like a public Facebook Live. It was inside a group with maybe 100 people. And I was like, I am going to really like embrace this mission, this message that I want people to get from this book I wrote that was about to come out. I was like ready to step across that threshold of having this book out there that I had no vision, no plan for beyond that. And I go to the gym. I was like, I need to like leave my house or I'm going to delete this video. I go to the gym,
very relatable.
And I'm working out and I get this DM from Jill Petersen, who's like, oh my gosh, I just watched your live and I just shared it with my entire leadership team. Will you come 2 days from now and speak to our entire staff at Lululemon?
Yeah.
And I remember then I actually wanted to vomit because it was like that moment where I was like, oh my gosh, like this is it. This is what people talk about when they say like, do it messy, do it before you feel like you're ready. And the moments that like in those early days where I just let myself be what I consider to be like this messy version, to see how it actually aligned so many of the people that are now just such a big part of my life, but have been such a big part of my journey. And then I say yes, of course, because now we're just leaning into it. I go and speak at Lululemon it was 50 people. That felt
it was
like
a huge team.
It was during holidays.
It was
picture
huge.
And a ton of additional hires. So it wasn't just a skeleton crew of people. It
Yeah.
was. I look back at that group photo and
may have been
the room was
1,000.
packed.
And
It was.
I just want to interject for a moment to say that what you felt was messy was exactly the message I needed.
Yeah.
Your message was exactly what I needed to like, it was a light bulb. It was like, oh my gosh, I need her. It's basically
Parents.
who Mary and I are for parents and the families we serve. It's like, well, you're basically saying the same thing I am, but they're going to hear you.
Yeah.
I needed Lindsay to come and edify everything that I've been saying to my team, but in a cooler way.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if it was cooler.
It was. back to you. You came in. You
but
said
we
yes.
came in, and then Mary came up afterward and basically said we should be friends. And I said, cool, okay.
I said, I think we're going to be friends, so we should just get started.
That actually was it. And then we exchanged emails.
We did. Probably back to that Gmail account that I was talking about.
Or Hotmail.
Yeah. And actually this month is our first friendship date. I think it's like April 5th, 2017. We have a picture at the top of Thunderbird because we did the responsible thing. And instead of going for drinks, we went on an early morning hike.
Wow.
Fitness.
Good job, guys.
Thanks. And then what unfolded from there was just this, whether we even realized this is what we were doing for each other or not, just this, it created this safe space. People who I could share like, holy shit, I'm scared out of my mind. Like, oh my gosh, I thought I was going to throw up speaking in front of those 50 people.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me that opportunity. And like this continual evolution as we've all stepped into these visions of a safe space to be like really seen as our biggest, most ambitious selves, but also to have like the safety of like, oh my God, what do we do when this happens? Or I'm really battling myself right now. I'm really battling that inner critic and that fear. Is this ever going to work? This is taking so long. And what this community has essentially become is helping people find their people, but to get to like look back with some of the women who've been an integral part of like every single moment that are like these pillar moments of Powerhouse women, you both have been there.
It's pretty cool to look back on. I think one of my favorite things is watching when Powerhouse launches ticket sales and seeing the new people come into the mix or the people who are a year or two old saying like, oh my God, you have to come. It's amazing. And these are the reasons why. Being like, holy shit, this thing really, it took on a life of its own.
Yeah.
And grew from that idea on that hike, right? Because it was, maybe I should just throw this half-day little thing. And it was like,
I wouldn't even call it an event.
What we were ideating or what you were painting the picture of on that hike has turned into this event where people are flying from all over the world to attend. And we feel very proud, I think is the best way I think I can describe it. It's like, wow, look at what happened. And something we love to tell our girls or model for them is if you can see it, you can achieve it. And I think that's what you've been for us because we put a lot of people on a pedestal and it's like, they're doing that. Who am I to try to do that? And because you've been one of our closest friends and we've seen it in action, we've seen the messy, we've seen the hard, we've seen the trials, we've seen the tribulations. We've also gotten to see the greatness that's come from it. And that's been such permission for us to push through our trials and tribulations.
I literally was just going to say, you going first has allowed us to do the thing. Us do the event without calling it an event.
Without like, this is a thing.
Should we do this thing? And then it's turned into momentum. And we constantly are now refining things and making it better. And yeah, it's been such a beautiful journey up to this point because all of us came from different walks of life. The red thread has woven several times and we've grown apart, we've grown together and here we are.
Yeah.
I believe the prophet Taylor Swift calls them invisible strings.
She's to quote the prophet.
The prophet. Yeah. So fast forward, we're sitting poolside during the pandemic. And, this like idea of, Jill, you had started doing some coaching and leadership development for, sports teams and working with youth. And I just remember like that moment of realizing when you two are kind of together and I'm getting to be a witness to it, you're like, no, this is really a thing. Like Mary came on the call today and there was like this chemistry and I think we're going to like really run with this. So when you think back to those early days when you had this company before you even realized it was a company. What do you think those two versions of you, those women, would say if they could see the version of like what you've grown it to today, just 5 years later? It's a lifetime, but it's also such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
What do you think they would be most proud of you for?
Oh man. I mean, sticking with it, not quitting when it gets hard, because past versions or old versions of yourself. I mean, you're confronted with yourself every single day. And for me personally, when I get scared or fear starts to creep in, I want to bail.
She's a track star.
I am
She's
a
runner.
She's a runner. She's a track star.
Let's go.
So the fact that I can like sit in the uncomfortableness to say like, man, by me sitting here and figuring it out, I mean, has so much growth has come from that.
Yeah.
So I'm super proud of sticking with it
Yeah.
and continuing to stick with it.
What do you say to that?
So many things. I am also proud of the resiliency that it takes to run a business. Because if anybody knows me IRL, you two in particular, I'm an 8 on the Enneagram, which has been really important for me to know in partnership with, in relationship, let's just say that, not just in partnership with somebody who's my best friend. But I am a bit brutish. I'm a bit hard-headed. And I feel like if things don't go my way, I'm also very easy to be like, why are we doing this? I could be doing something else. However, if I look back over the trajectory of my life, everything prepared me for this moment.
Yeah.
And I think that everything came into alignment in such a beautiful way that made me realize that this was my moment and it was something that I could really sink my teeth into and make a difference doing. So understanding that life is looking in the rearview mirror and understanding why certain things happened the way they happened to get to that like precipice of a point, it felt right.
Yeah.
There's no other way to describe it other than it was like a full body yes for me. And it remains that way even when it's hard. And damn, it's hard.
And that's one of the benefits of having the time together in friendships to watch each other navigate so many different seasons, because there were seasons like we've all gone through where in that moment, it might have felt like a failure. Like it might have felt like, well, wait, like I think about when you sold your stake in the gym and kind of went into this season of like, what next?
Who even am I?
I mean, what would you say to someone who's like there right now and they're hearing this and they're seeing our matching denim outfits and they're like, they have it all together. They must have it all together. and they're in one of those moments of like, I thought that was the thing and it's not. And I don't know how to pick myself up after that. What would be your words of wisdom or encouragement to someone who's in a season like that?
I had dinner with Morgan Custis, who was at this CrossFit gym that you speak of and got to kind of see a big part of my transformation in life. And she looked at me and said, you know, we do the friend thing. We're in our 30s now. It's like, do you want to get dinner? And 6 months go by and we're like, yeah, let's get
that dinner.
So it's been probably 2 years since I've seen this girl, and we picked up right where we left off. And she looked at me and goes, the one word I would use to describe you that I just am so proud is resilience. Right. And just in that moment, it was so cool to hear it from somebody else's perspective, because I've survived the hardest days of my life. Like I'm here and I've survived everything that life has thrown at me. I've overcome it. I've done better for myself and I've learned lessons along the way. So if someone is in that moment in their life where it feels like rock bottom, it is, and that's okay, because the only way to go from there is up. And I know that sounds so cliche. We hear it all the time. However, it's only going to teach you what you need for your future self, because my future self knows me right now. I'm the future self I was talking about back then.
It's me.
Hi, it's me, not the problem, the future. I am so proud of that girl for not sitting down on herself, for not giving up, for not taking the easy way out, because I feel like there were so many potentially other paths that I could have taken that would have been me throwing in the towel, and it wouldn't have been true to myself. So learning those lessons, which now have become transferable skills, grit, perseverance, resiliency, everything that I learned in that season and the seasons prior have all helped where I am now. And I could never have foreseen this. If you would have told me 6 years ago that I'd be working with children, teens and tweens in particular, I would have been like, yeah, do you know me? Have you seen my past? I literally came from working at an adult entertainment
establishment.
You are telling me that I'm going into schools and I'm talking to people's kids. They allow me to do that? What do you mean?
Yeah.
So I just keep going, keep your palms open and keep your head up, because that thing happened for you, not to you. That little shift in perspective has helped me so much over those trials and tribulations. And obviously having a good girl gang too.
I was just going to say, finding people who are inspiring and not saying like, you know, if you're friends with them, yes, go spend time with them. But I think the coolest thing, when both you and I were in that season of like, what is next? We jumped right into event love. That's was right. That oh my gosh. And we got to like see all of these awesome women having awesome businesses. And Mary and I are like, what are we going to do? Like, I had no idea. But it was fun to just be in that energy and to see how passionate these women are. And we're like, gosh, we have gifts. We have these insane skills. And like, how do we, what is that? But I think being in a community and putting yourself in rooms that make you feel uncomfortable. Her and I were like, what are we doing here? Yeah. But
I mean, we knew why you were there, but right? I can relate to that feeling.
Yeah, 100%. And that really was, and I giggle because we would go on break and we would watch the pigeons, like, you know, do these, who knows,
pigeon things,
whatever pigeons do. But we were like, man, what's the lesson in the pigeon doing that for us? Like, what are we learning? And it just became this like ongoing joke of like, what is the lesson? Turns out that's the name of our podcast.
Yeah.
And we use that for kids when we coach them around. There's always a lesson.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting putting yourself around great people and in rooms to help you figure out the next breadcrumb for you to take.
And I feel like the lesson that, like, when I reflect back on that I take away is, you know, both of you had the humility to just be in the season you were in, not try to pretend that you weren't in that gap. We just call it like a gap season. It's like
gap year.
Closed one chapter and you haven't fully stepped into what's next.
Yeah.
But there can be a tendency to kind of like sink into the sads of that.
Oh yeah.
Versus, and you can have those moments, but what you two have consistently done is why you have the community you have. It's why all of us show up for you whenever you ask, is because in that season you were like, great, how can I serve? How can I be of value? How can I be a part of, I may not know what my thing is, but let me help someone else who's putting on this event, who's putting on this, you know, training all about how big events are going to be in January of 2020. Let me help that vision. That's really going somewhere.
Yeah.
But it is. And I think it's because of the energy you show up with, even when you were in a season for yourself where you may have been like, I don't really know what is next. And there could be a lot of reasons I could tell myself I don't belong in this space or whatever that is. And you just show up with such the heart to give value and exchange like your energy, the both of you. It's like everyone's favorite thing about you. It's like, that's what's so magnetic, is the energy that you bring into any space that you're in. And that's the biggest thing I would say for anyone who's finding themselves like in that gap, or they're really like, what is next, is find the people who you want to be close to. You want to like plug into that energy, but realize that there's always something you can bring to that space that you can contribute.
Yeah. It's really interesting because Mary and I we were like the hype girls. We were extra hands at that event, and we were just there to make sure that the women who attended had an extraordinary time. Like that was our mission. And then it was funny because on the car ride homes, when we would carpool together, we were like, man, how do we just be cheerleaders for people?
Is that a job? Can we create that?
And how funny is that? Because to your point, in terms of like our energy and people being attracted to like our presence, we were like, well, how do we make money doing that? Yeah. That was the first little nudge. And we were like, I don't know. What do we do? Do we go to all events and say like, we'll be the behind the scenes people and we'll start a business like that? It was just fun to start randomly throwing out ideas, but that definitely came from that event of us walking away being like, how do we be cheerleaders for people?
Yeah. Okay, this is like the perfect kind of theme to keep elaborating on, because one of the things that I think we all looking back can see is like, you don't have to have it figured out to get started.
No.
In fact, if you wait
No.
till you have it figured out, you're probably like decades behind.
Yeah.
So give me like the high level. So it goes from that into, you're leading these programs and you realize there's synergy between the two of you. But the way that the version of Girls Mentorship now, which is like the premier like summer camp for girls, it's, based in Arizona, but like people from anywhere can come in for it. Like there's nothing else like it. The first version of it did not look like this. It didn't look like the cool merch and the cool, is it like, when you think of the aesthetics of like a Powerhouse Women event, it's like that.
Yes.
I can't imagine
Just
having that
for
at
girls.
like 12 years old, like the coolest.
I know.
What did those early stages look like in the, okay, we're not quite sure yet, but like this is the furthest we can see. So let's do this version of it.
I think we saw how much potential summer camps had, and it was
I
kind of like
immediately
this
look over to you.
hilarious. Like, I think we can make money doing this. And mind you, we said this in February of 2021.
I think it was January. We were
It
like
was February for sure.
Probably.
Because I remember the call we were on because we were in your mastermind, and it was the February call where we were like, we need a space. And Mallory was like, I have a space. And we were like, okay, well, let's get to planning. Just so you know, if you're listening and trying to throw a summer camp, like a 2-month runway is not enough time to
But we
establish
didn't
that.
know.
We didn't know.
Had
So you
no
throw it out
idea.
there. So we threw it out there in 2021 and we executed on it in 2022. And it was hilarious. It was 2 half days, literally 9 to 1 on Wednesday, Thursday. We did that for 6 weeks. 140 girls came through. We were like, oh, we have a thing. And parents were like, you do have a thing. But that was really inconvenient. And we were like, oh, but we're really exhausted. Like,
Asking them to like pick up right after lunch. And
I don't know if you know that 4 hours once a day is hard to wrangle in teen and tween girls. We were plumb exhausted, but the feedback was what had us create the next version, right? So instead of a Wednesday, Thursday, 9 to 1, we were like, what happens if we throw a full week? And magic ensued after that. It was very cool to bring in somebody to decorate the space. Matiana with Dang Fine had decorated the space the first time, but it was, I think, walls used from another event the day before that they brought in, and she made work. And that's incredible because her vision serves so many platforms across multiple. So it was fun to see the setup and like us go full out in this space that we were gifted. We had a great partnership with a local nonprofit at the time. So things lined up for us to be able to execute on a very small level. The next year, thinking about it, that same location was like, sorry, we're renovating, so you can't have it here. But we pivoted because we met somebody else in the nick of time in December. And they were like, oh, we love what you do. We do it at our school. Where are you guys hosting summer camp? And we're in this meeting and we're like, we'll have our people call your people. We don't know.
And then we do like a 360 turn and we're like, who are the people?
hey. We look at each other and we're like, cool, calm, collected. And we walk outside, get in the car, and just start screaming at the top of our lungs because this is like the ideal situation.
Yes.
We're partnered with a school. They want to host our camp. Oh my God. And since then, it has just grown in popularity from feedback, getting to create things from what the customer wants, which is interesting because our customer is twofold. It's obviously teen and tween girls and their parents.
Yeah.
But you said something earlier about having the vision figured out. If you have it figured out, you're going to be too late, or you're going to have to redo it all because we've implemented things that we never thought we would have to implement based on the feedback we've gotten over the years. So what you're looking at as a premier summer camp now is something that was messy and uncomfortable, and we probably cried a ton of tears. We still do that. It's doing the hard work. It's sticking with it. It's back to that resiliency piece of just continuing to put one foot in front of the other to create the best possible experience for that version of yourself for the clients you're serving.
Someone else I talked to earlier today, one of the earlier podcasts, she was talking about how like, and I'm guilty of it too. It's like, I think we can see and feel this bigger. We're like, we know it's supposed to be big. And then I think there's this delusional part of me that thought like, you just make it. Like at some point you just make it. And then you're just like, boop, you're in the future, like 10x version. And the truth is, she was talking about how like the growth is incremental and it's supposed to be. It's actually like how you flesh out like what is worth going all in on. And it allows your nervous system to catch up and like be able to hold more. And I still love that we're all like big dreamers, we're big thinkers. And it's like those that stand the test of time are the ones that are willing to be patient.
Yeah. Well, and it was interesting because the first year, that first version of summer camp, Mary and I were, like she said, exhausted. And we were like, we don't want to do this. We're like, are we going to literally run summer camps? Is like, that's what we're going to be known for?
Yep.
And okay, here we are, right? It's so funny. Sometimes it's like, but no one's doing it the way that we're doing it. And it is super fun. Like when we really got to like get back to an equilibrium of feeling like not exhausted and back to a sense of, clarity and peace of mind, we were like, wait, we have something here. So we constantly like go back to, yes, we can do all these other things with girls, but like, how do we do what we do well and how do we do it better until we get it to a point where it is like, man, now what do we do? Now what's the next problem to solve? Is it another location or do we find, do we pop up somewhere else? So we just want to look at our summer camp as like, we still have so much room to improve it until we get to like solve the next problem of what that is in our business. But that has helped us drastically. I'd say within the last, 8 months of like not reaching for the other shiny object. It's like, do what you do well and just keep doing it better. And what that looks like for us is like, what is the experience that we're giving the girl before she even walks into summer camp? So we're sending postcards to the girls with a secret video from Mary and I. And it's us setting up the parents through all of these amazing PDFs to answer any questions that they have leading into summer camp. So it helps us look at, okay, summer camp was great. How do we keep doing it better?
Yeah. And, there's value to allowing ourselves to have those seasons where we're testing new things and trying on ideas. But you're right. It's like the goal of that, I just usually call it like a buffet season. It's like you let yourself try different things. We've tried so many things that didn't end up being the thing that stuck, but I wouldn't have known what to go all in on if I didn't allow myself that freedom to try and refine. And that's the thing. It's fine to have those seasons where you're trying on new things, but the goal of that being to narrow down the thing that you can actually optimize. And you guys are just in such a cool season of optimization leading into camp this year. The other thing I've really watched you do is invest in yourselves. Like it's like we all get to that point where it's like, the next like scary, like clench my butt cheeks together investment. How has that been, especially navigating it as business partners and like what you choose to invest in? Is there one of you that's more like, yeah, let's do it, and one that's a little bit more like just hesitant maybe to invest the money or spend the time? Or how has that looked and how are you making those decisions?
I think we both want to throw up.
But that's about right.
What's cool about us as individuals is before the podcast started, we were talking about Landmark, right? You both did Landmark. I did something called PSI, Personal Growth and Development Forums. What's cool about our relationship is that we've really put the work in individually before creating this business. So we had a solid foundation, then we had a solid friendship, and coming into business, it's like we kind of knew each other, which obviously we did, but on a different level. So we've had our push and pulls, but they've been very minor. We're on the same page about a lot. So when we see an opportunity to pour gasoline on the fire, we definitely do dive in. Now, this last year of investment was our biggest and scariest. And I laugh because we went to like the level one of what this was. We went to Layla and Alex Hermozy's acquisition.com. They have like a basic workshop, they call it, in Vegas. And we were like, that speaks to us. Let's see if we qualify. We get on the call, we qualify, we're like high-fiving, we make the investment. We're like, oh, that was one of the biggest we've made. How exciting. We go there, we love it. We're drinking from a fire hose. They obviously are great at sales. They're good at building their funnel. So they come in on day 2 with the sales pitch to join something more. Yeah. And we're looking at each other and we're nervous and our palms are sweaty and we're looking at each other and we do the math. And they were doing the math, but I think we were too in our own heads. So we were doing the math and we're like, okay, yeah, let's do it. So I'm usually the one that does, you know, the signing of things and bigger purchases. So I go into this room, I get cornered by a couple of them and they're like, great.
Sounds like a timeshare presentation.
It was.
And now we're the owners of a condo in Cabo.
And I don't know what to tell you, but I bought stock in Vegas. I'm like,
Mary, that was not the plan.
So they're like, great, this is awesome. It's going to be this much, which was double the figure that we actually had decided was okay.
Yeah.
And I'm in this conference room and it's glass. And I look out and I see Jill and she's just having a conversation with somebody, laughing, throwing her head back. And I'm literally, my butt cheeks are completely clenched. She's cold trying to get sweaty. My attention. I'm like looking at her. And I said, you know what? Okay. Because we had decided already in the room that was not the glass conference room that we wanted to make this decision. And being double the investment meant that we had double the reason to really put our foot on the pedal to continue and build this business. And I think having the knowing that what we're doing is needed and important made me say yes. It was a scared yes. I don't know if it came out as yes. I don't know if they just took my nonverbal cues, whatever it was. But we said yes. And something weird happens when you invest that much in yourself. You're betting on yourself, no pun intended, since we were in Vegas, but I literally put money on rolling a 7. Yeah. Rolling snake eyes. And we're different. I don't know. Yep. I can't necessarily explain what it is that's different, but we came back as different human beings from that experience, just giving them the money.
That is, it's such a sacred part of this whole journey. And I never, ever want to make it sound like, yeah, you just like pay someone a bunch of money and then you transform. It's got to be aligned. You've got to do homework and really like feel into, okay, why do I want to work with this person? Is it just like the shiny thing? Yeah. Or is it, no, I see a connection to what I want and a pathway to get there faster. But then there's that moment and you never feel ready. In fact, if you do feel ready and it doesn't stretch you, you don't get that transformation like in the moment of making the investment. And I mean, you both have watched me do the same thing in programs and courses and with mentors where it just something in me was like, no, I'm going to bet on me. And then whatever I got out of the coaching or mastermind or whatever it was just kind of a bonus. Yeah. Because I was showing up differently for myself.
Well, and that's a really good point. So just to clarify, we didn't spend that money and go do coaching with them and make $1 million. Yeah. That's not what happened.
Or expect that they just have some like secret that you've never heard before.
The magical formula to make $10,000 a day. No. But you hear those stories. Yeah. Right. And then we have comparison. And then we're like, why am I not doing that? That didn't happen. So we didn't make the investment, go there, do the work. And now all of a sudden we're making $1 million. That would be awesome. And that is what will happen. Absolutely. It still hasn't happened. Yeah. So it's not, we don't feel like it was a waste. We don't feel like it was a waste of time, money, energy, none of that. It was still one of the best things that we could have done for ourselves.
Yeah. And it's just a reminder that we still have to put in the work. Yeah. It's hard work. That's we're also living in just such an interesting culture of, just do these 3 easy steps. And I'm like, tell me what those 3 easy steps are. Because it is just, it is hard work, and all the people that we look up to and we admire are doing the same hard work. So that's really the secret. So yes, we got exactly what we needed, but then we were like, oh my gosh, we are coming back and hitting the ground running. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah. Which is like such a parallel for the experience you're creating for girls. And like, I just imagine like, had I been exposed to all these lessons that you're learning in your personal journeys, but then you're translating them into a way that teens can hear them, right? Because back to even what we were saying with, you realizing that there was maybe someone else who could communicate with your team when you were a leader in the corporate space in a way that would have them hear it. It's like, I can only imagine for parents, like just wanting their kids to be empowered with these skills, but also realizing sometimes we can't hear that from the person who raised us. In fact, it's an actual really normal part of development is like the kids have to start to see that they are an individual. They're not the parent. So talk a little bit about your philosophy and how you've developed this curriculum to really help empower girls with life skills that they just need for today's world. It's life or death. Like they need these skills.
100%.
We need to equip our kids and our girls specifically so much better.
Well, now we have created our own framework and curriculum, which is wild to even think about. So
just a year ago.
But and I'll bring this back up as I kind of paint the picture for everybody tuning in, that Mary and I just got started. But when we put ourselves out there, whether it was through one-on-one coaching or hosting workshops or this random version 1 of summer camp, the same themes kept popping up. Lack of confidence, friendship drama, isolation, girls feeling super alone, and the lack of skills in putting themselves out there or using their voice. So boundaries, conflict resolution. So we kept like, okay, we're noticing these things. And then we were like, okay, how do we start to take everything that we're learning and figuring out a way that it's our own language? And really, we saw that come to life, not last year, but really the year before, to help us start implementing our curriculum last year. When the girls can repeat back some of our one-liners, we're like, whoop, that's it. That's super cool.
Stuck, right? Like,
that's stuck. So we got to work. We were like, okay, this is the year where we want to invest in evidence-based curriculum. So we hired a company to help us literally just brain dump. We got on a call and we were like, this is what we talk about and how we talk about it. And they helped us really formulate what is now our power framework. So and how funny, Powerhouse, our power framework.
My heart.
I know. It is so cool.
And we didn't come up with that. This company did.
Yeah.
This company came up with this acronym after all of our brain dumping, and we looked at each other and we're like, power.
God, that feels so aligned. That feels
aligned.
So aligned.
Great. Little God wing. Okay, what's for like parents who are listening or parents who are looking for resources for their girls, walk us through the framework. Like, what do you actually walk the girls through in a week at camp? Whether you want to share the framework or just like an idea of what happens at camp, because I'm so passionate about this. I think this is something that every single girl from the ages of whatever the youngest you take to the oldest that you take deserves to have.
So I can't explain it, much like you can't explain the Powerhouse Women event, right? Like you actually have to be in the room to experience the magic that is our summer camps. But with our curriculum, it's POWER, that is 5. It corresponds with Monday through Friday. So that first day,
which is so nice.
It is. It really worked out well. So regardless of whether we had the curriculum or not, everything we started with when our one-on-ones or our workshops was perspective. Self-awareness, like understanding who you are and how you fit into a social dynamic. Because as we know, as adults, we can kind of go through our day pretty blindly. It's pretty autopilot. So if you don't know who you are, how you show up, you can't actually address what's going on in your head, in your heart, in your body. So that first day, we hit the ground running. We make sure they know we're cool, and we get buy-in from, I'd say 95% of them by the end of Monday, because they don't know what it is. So when you don't know when you don't know what something is, you come in closed off. We see more eye rolls and, shoulders down, arms crossed than anything that first day. So we hit the ground running, we hit perspective. So the entire day is focused on your self-awareness, how we develop that, how we pull it out of them. We move on to ownership. So personal responsibility is Tuesday in terms of something didn't happen to us. How do we change that language that it happened for us? We have a piece in it. We can impact our day, our relationships. We have control and ownership over that. The next one is worthiness. So how do you feel worthy? How do you make others feel worthy? We then work into empowerment. Same thing. How are we feeling empowered on days when we might not be? And then we round it off with reassurance. So if you've done all of those things and you feel like you're good at them and you drop the ball, how do we reassure ourselves that things are okay?
Yeah.
And again, it really plugs into all aspects of their life. It's them as the individual, it's them in friendships, it's them in community, and it's them as leaders.
Yeah.
So it's basically the skills that we all work on today. We love to make sure that they know that you don't just arrive, because I think at that age, it's one of those things where you look forward to those milestones of 16, I get a car. I get to,
if only I'm in middle school, if only I'm in high school,
I get to flex my independence.
Milestones.
Yeah.
When I turn 18, things just happen, right? Again, the things just happen mindset. When I'm 21 and I'm an adult and I get to take care of my own life, we make sure that they know that we're all a whip. We're all a work in progress. And these skills, the ones that we directly teach, are skills that we utilize every single day now, currently.
Yes.
I go through a temp check. I ask myself how I'm doing. Like, we have to have hard conversations. So what's the conflict resolution strategies? What bucket are you in as a friend? Like, all of these things that we teach are things that we utilize every day.
Yeah. I mean, really, there should be an adult version of this. If I could just, put in a request.
Summer camp.
I know.
It's called the Powerhouse Women.
I love it. like a week. We need like a week.
Yeah,
totally. True. What have been some of the most pivotal, transformation stories when you look back and you're like, wow, like that person's life, like that family's life was changed forever, because we decided to start messy? Like, is there one that stands out? I know it's so hard to pick just one, but what's the first one that comes to mind of just, we'll keep these anonymous, but just a girl who you're like, wow, like we watched her transform right before our eyes over the course of a week?
One that came immediately to my mind was last year. And not that we ever want to compare our summer camps to anybody else. We know the work that it takes to throw a summer camp. So we respect what's happening out there. However, we had a particular girl come to summer camp because she was getting bullied at another camp locally. And her parents came to us and they were like, she needs a different environment. So please, we want this to be a great experience for her. And we were like, oh my gosh, hello, you found us. Come on in. And watching this young girl literally have the time of her life. She was making friends with everybody, from the peer leaders to us, she was just living, loving her best life. That's what we saw. By Friday, she left and was just on cloud 9. And what's really cool about our camp is that we intentionally try to connect deeply with every single one of these girls. We know their names, we know stories, we know what they like, what they don't like. And they learn a lot about us because we like to share our own personal stories. So she leaves and we get this incredible message from her dad. And it was around her never being able to ride roller coasters because she had such anxiety and fear around it. And she was able to go to this adventure park and get on a roller coaster for the first time and enjoy it and get off and be like,
I learned that at Girls Mentorship.
It's because I learned it at camp.
She did not.
Yes.
I'm going to cry.
I know.
And then he PS'd it and said, she's also smiling with her teeth. She's never smiled with her teeth. And one of the things that Jill just said is they know a lot about us. So one of the stories that I shared was my brother used to make fun of how big my teeth were when I was a kid. For those of you old enough, he used to call them yellow pages. If you know what a yellow page is, it was a big phone book. So my front 2 teeth were large. He used to call me yellow pages. So I bring that story to the girls last year. And I said, it took me, that was a brick in my backpack. I've carried that around for a long time and I have not smiled with my teeth for probably 15 years. I started smiling with my teeth probably 5 years ago. In pictures, I thought I looked awkward. I had to retrain my smile. I was so self-conscious around how big my teeth were. So the PS, she started smiling with her teeth. I was like, that is life-changing. I think we often overlook things that we say to people about their appearance or how they show up and how impactful that can be for them for the rest of their life, negatively or positively. So me sharing that story was just to get them thinking about the things that they may be carrying around. And for her, that was clearly something that she was carrying around as well. So to hear it from Dad was just such a moment for us to say, if it's just one girl and it was that one girl, we're doing our job. Yeah. We're doing what we were meant to do, what literally God put us on this planet to do.
Such a cool full circle moment and not even full circle, right? Because it in so many ways, you're just getting started. This is a new evolution of the brand and of your impact. So for parents who are listening to this and wondering, okay, is my daughter old enough? What ages is the camp geared toward? Give us a rundown. I know that you're getting pretty close to sold out, and we're already like 2 months out from camp, and there's a lot of time left, not a lot of spots. So I want you to give us a rundown of who is it for, who can attend, where can people find the info and the dates that camp is running this summer.
This camp is for girls. So participants are 10 to 13. And this is for girls who are looking to grow in their confidence. We can have girls who are so incredibly shy, who come and we get to love on her and teach her all of the things to help her get out of her comfort zone and really own who she is, whether it's that quiet confidence or maybe there is that exuberantness inside of her. Yeah. So we get a lot of questions around, well, is it a therapy camp? No, it's not. But we do have big conversations. And whether your girl is super confident, we also would love for her to be in the room. So it's not a specific girl, just if we can love on her for 40 hours a week, we're with her for 40 hours, it would be our honor. So campers are 10 to 13. And then we have a peer leader program it's the coolest for the high school girls. Yeah. So they get to come in and be a part of camp and really step into their leadership, and we give them responsibilities and they own things and they're leading things. And that's for girls 14 to 18. And then Mary and I are your camp directors. We're the facilitators. And then we also have other incredible facilitators who support us in camp. So it is a well-ran, oiled machine where campers are just loved on. So are the peer leaders. And it is, we welcome everybody in the room.
It really is for all girls. Yeah. And then to add on to that, we also bring in amazing women from the community to, like I said earlier about what you've been for us, right? If girls can see it, they can believe it. Because the statistic is there's like 3,000 to 6,000 unique job titles in the United States. We add about 300 to 500 more every month. Girls know a fraction of what that is. They know your typical doctor, lawyer, right? Go to college, be this, be that. And that's wonderful if that's what they want to choose. But our reason for bringing in guest speakers is so they can see something different for themselves. They're also in this bubble where they feel like what they're going through is very unique to them, which it is, that those are their feelings. We'll never say we know exactly how they feel, but we bring in other women that can say, I've been through something similar and here's where I am now. I've overcome that. I have this incredible life, this business, these friendships, to where they can see themselves in the women we bring in. Yeah. So that's a really cool part of it too, which word on the street is you are joining us this year. So
there's a rumor. We've heard rumors.
What?
Friends, we dropped here. The paparazzi has really come around and told us. It dropped on page 6.
TMZ keeps knocking on my door.
So the girls would love it.
TMZ rolls in. Yeah. So it starts in June. It's every week in June. So June 2nd, June 9th, June 16th, and June 23rd for those full weeks. Yeah. And we've sold more tickets this year at this point in time than we did last year, which is such an indicator of growth and just the need of what we're doing. And that's cool because all of it's been word of mouth. We don't know how to market, which is fine.
It's not true. You've just sold out more tickets than last year.
Let me say, we don't know how to professionally market. Okay. We haven't put money towards, don't say that. Sorry, let me clarify. We haven't understood how to do like Facebook ads and things like that. So it's been very cool that our organic marketing strategy has worked in the way that it has, because when moms like something, they spread it like a wildfire. So we're here, and seeing that just tells us how good of work we're doing and how just integral it is at this point in time.
Yeah. And you can find all of our camp info on our website, which is girlsmentorship.com. There is at the very top page of the website, there is 2 buttons that will go for campers and for peer leaders. And all of the information is there for people to look into, read. We really encourage people to read over our website because it just provides all of the answers to the questions that they'll have.
And so many resources, it's like, it's just been so cool to witness this evolution and to see the fun and the intention and the just really like the magic that you bring to such a confusing time of life.
Yeah.
And I just like think about a day when, let's say, like youngest campers at 10, let's say they find themselves into a Powerhouse Women event 20 years from now, if there's a Powerhouse Women event.
Yes.
And just like how different, like that baseline of having the confidence and having the tools to build self-worth in a world that is really just not set up for them to be the confident beings that they're really meant to be.
It's not. Yeah.
I'm just so grateful. Thank you for doing it messy. Thank you for going first. Thank you for just championing girls, because the world is going to be a very different place in a few years once these beautiful girls that are getting to soak up these skills are out there leading companies, leading organizations, leading families. It really is like a ripple effect that we can't wrap our minds around.
Yeah. Thanks, Lynn.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It is. It brings a tear to our eye. Literally. This is.
I said we cry a lot earlier. I meant it.
We do. This is. It's the biggest privilege of our lives. This is work that we take so seriously, to be a part of people's families, to bring harmony into homes that need it, because the girl can be that for maybe a family that doesn't feel that right now, or for the girl to finally believe in herself. Those are the girls that we think about on the days that are just hard and we want to quit. We think about the girl who desperately is looking for us, and she's our reason to keep going.
Yeah. Okay, so girlsmentorship.com. Get the details.
Get the deets.
Get your girls into camp.
Yes.
You will not regret it.
No.
I mean, the ripple effect is going to be long lasting.
Yeah.
I am so excited to kind of tie this together with my favorite question to ask at the end of every episode. And it's especially cool to get to give ourselves this moment to pause and reflect and acknowledge ourselves. And something I know you teach to the girls too is like that moment of celebration. And at the end of every episode, we ask, for a powerhouse moment that you want to celebrate. It's a reminder for all of us to pause and just like acknowledge ourselves for somewhere that we were great and we didn't pause to acknowledge it in the moment. So whichever one of you wants to go first, when I ask what's a recent powerhouse moment that you want to celebrate yourself for, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I FaceTimed you like 2 weeks ago for a huge milestone in our business that was just so beyond comprehension for me, to where I was like, I talk about it with Jill every day. We're watching our sales. We're watching people buy camp tickets. We're so excited for every girl to walk through the door. And I was like, I'm going to burst. I need to call somebody who completely understands like where I'm at right now in my mindset and what's going on in our business, and just how proud I am of the work we've put in to get to this point to where people want to buy a thing. I've grown up in such a mindset where my mom really was like, money doesn't grow on trees, Mary, right? I've had to do a lot of work around diminishing that voice and really going for the abundance. And it's like, we've created value out of nothing that people want to buy into. They want to buy into us. And I think for someone who has had self-worth issues, people buying into something that, yes, Jill and I have created, but they're buying into us. So it was one of those just realizations of like, all of it, everything has mattered to this moment.
Yeah.
Everything that you've done has led to these transferable skills, has led to this moment of me being able to call you and celebrate something huge that happened in our business.
That was such a good FaceTime. Jill,
So
what
glad you
about for you?
picked up too. I'm celebrating being able to, I'm also a mom, I'm a wife, and juggling doing all of these things, all the hats that I wear, and I'm celebrating I'm doing it really well. And I'm so lucky to have Mary understand my priorities and what's important. And when I have to turn off Girls Mentorship to step into my other roles, like, she gets it. She supports me. But I think the coolest thing is now that my kids are getting older, like, they're really proud of us. And this past week, we've done some pretty cool content and reels, and they love to just be a part of it. And Mary left my house the other day, and my oldest was like, "You guys are just really cool."
Oh, stop. He did not.
Yes.
And
From an
Jill's
11-year-old.
a boy mom.
11-year-old boys.
And like, I don't meet many 11-year-old boys who are just doling out cool mom compliments.
Yeah. I was like, don't
say it again.
Yeah. And I was like, don't even like freak out. But in my mind, I was like, whoa, we're doing it. We're doing it. I'm doing it. And I'm proud. I'm proud of being able to juggle and manage it all.
I'm so proud of both of you. I'm proud of all of us. I'm just so grateful to be on this journey with people who are so committed to their own growth and who've just continued to show up for me in moments when I needed it, and allowed yourselves to receive in the same way. And that's really, I think, ultimately when we talk about like supportive friendships in this community, it doesn't mean you're going to grow at the same time, at the exact same pace, or you're going to always even just be at a place where you know how to show up for one another. But the friendships that really stand the test of time are the ones where you're always doing that work on yourself. It's the work you teach girls how to do. And that is really the basis of this friendship. And it's honestly been, I think in this last year, it's shown me how much my fear of my own growth was that I wouldn't have space to grow within the relationships. And to come to this place of seeing how safe I really am in my female friendships to just be all of me, it has profoundly changed my life. And that's like a big statement, but I just am so honored to like publicly get to share that, and just what a big part you've both played in the evolution of Powerhouse Women, but in the evolution of Lindsay.
Well, gosh. And I think the only thing I can say to that is ditto.
Yeah.
You're saying that out loud. We've had conversations, obviously, BTS, but your admittance of that has also helped me grow, right? In terms of thinking maybe you're not enough, right? Because you might not grow at the same pace, same race, same anything, and that's okay. But in that, you might not feel enough. But when you acknowledge that your growth is because of the safety you feel within relationships, it also has helped me in my growth. So anyone's out there listening and is afraid of expressing their feelings towards their girlfriends, don't hold back. We're big see something, say something girls, because we know how much it means to other people's personal growth and development journey to be acknowledged in that way.
Amen.
Yeah.
Gosh. Okay. Well, we've got some choreography to plan in these matching outfits, and
we have a show in
I've got a cheeseburger to eat. I've got a cheeseburger at the end of a long day, and I can't think of anyone I would want to do that with than the both of you. But seriously, I'm so grateful for women who are just in it and on this journey with me. You know, it just makes this whole thing so worth it, and I can't wait to see what we're celebrating in 5 years from now.
Ooh, amen.
Us too.
Okay, timestamp it. We're gonna come back,
and let's wear
Stay
the same
tuned.
denim.
Okay, we have 5 years to coordinate outfits. That's perfect. That's enough time.
Thanks, Linz.
Thanks, Linz.